The stage of Live with Kelly and Mark buzzed with anticipation. The lights glared down, casting a warm glow over the sleek set, rows of eager audience members, their faces lit with excitement, waiting for the next guest. The air hummed with the low drone of cameras and the faint rustle of scripts in the hands of frantic producers. Kelly Ripa, perched on her host's chair, flashed her signature megawatt smile, her eyes glinting with a mischievous edge. Beside her, Mark Consuelos leaned back, casual and charming, ready to play the affable counterpoint to Kelly's sharp wit. The crowd was primed for another lively segment of daytime TV magic. But no one, not the audience, not the crew, and certainly not the guests, could have predicted the storm that was about to erupt. Jonathan Roumie, the acclaimed actor known for his soulful portrayal of Jesus in The Chosen, stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause. His presence was magnetic, calm, grounded, with a quiet intensity that seemed to draw every eye in the room. Dressed in a simple navy blazer and white shirt, he waved modestly, his warm smile softening the weight of his fame. He was there to promote the latest season of The Chosen, a project he'd poured his heart into, one that had resonated with millions for its raw, human depiction of faith. The audience cheered louder, some holding up signs proclaiming their love for the show. Kelly clapped along, her enthusiasm effervescent, but there was a flicker in her expression, something sharp, calculating, like a cat sizing up its prey. "Jonathan Roumie, everybody!" Kelly announced, her voice bright but with a teasing lilt. "The man who's got half the world praying to his face on their TV screens. Welcome to the show!" Jonathan settled into the guest chair, his posture relaxed but attentive. "Thank you, Kelly. Mark. It's great to be here," he said, his voice steady, carrying that same earnest warmth that made his performances so compelling. The audience murmured in approval, a few fans whispering excitedly to each other. Mark leaned forward, grinning. "Man, The Chosen is huge. My mom can't stop talking about it. What's it like carrying that kind of weight, playing such an iconic figure?" Jonathan chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's humbling, you know? It's not just about me, it's about the story, the message. I'm just trying to do it justice." The crowd clapped again, a wave of warmth rolling through the studio. But Kelly's smile tightened, her eyes narrowing slightly. She tilted her head, her tone shifting to something less playful, more pointed. "That's beautiful, Jonathan. Really. But let's be real for a second." She paused, letting the silence hang, the audience shifting in their seats. "Playing Jesus, the Jesus, comes with a lot of baggage. People expect you to be, a saint in real life. How do you handle that kind of pressure without, cracking under it?" The question landed like a pebble in still water, ripples spreading through the room. A few audience members exchanged glances, sensing the edge in Kelly's tone. Jonathan's smile faltered for a split second, but he recovered quickly, his voice calm but firm. "I don't think it's about being perfect. It's about being human, trying to live with integrity. The role doesn't make me a saint, it just makes me more aware of my own flaws." Kelly raised an eyebrow, leaning forward now, her elbows propped on the desk. "Sure, but come on, Jonathan. You're out there preaching love and forgiveness on screen, and people eat it up. But off-screen, you're just a guy, right? I mean, you've got your own life, your own, let's say, imperfections." Her voice dripped with insinuation, and a murmur ran through the audience. Mark shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Kelly as if to gauge her next move. Jonathan's jaw tightened, but his gaze remained steady. "I'm not sure what you're getting at, Kelly, but yeah, I'm human. We all are. That's kind of the point of the show, to show the humanity in these stories." The audience nodded, some clapping softly, but Kelly wasn't done. She leaned back, crossing her arms, her smile now more of a smirk. "Oh, I get it. Humanity. Big word. But let's talk about that for a second. There's been some chatter online, people saying you're a little too perfect, maybe even a little hypocritical. Like you're out there selling this wholesome image, but what about the real you? The guy who, maybe doesn't always walk on water." The studio fell silent. A collective gasp rippled through the audience, followed by an uneasy stillness. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the moment, the faint twitch in Jonathan's brow, the way his hands clasped together a little tighter. Mark's smile froze, his eyes darting between Kelly and Jonathan. A producer in the wings whispered frantically into a headset, gesturing to the control booth. The air felt heavy, electric, as if the entire room was holding its breath. Jonathan leaned forward, his voice low but steady, each word deliberate. "Kelly, I'm here to talk about The Chosen, about a project that means a lot to me and to a lot of people. If you've got something specific to say, just say it. I'm not here to play games." The crowd erupted in a mix of cheers and gasps, some clapping in support, others whispering in shock. Kelly's smirk wavered, but she doubled down, her tone sharp now, almost accusatory. "Oh, I'm not playing games, Jonathan. I'm just asking what everyone's thinking. You're this big spiritual figure now, right? But there are stories out there, rumors about your past, maybe some not-so-holy moments. Are you saying you're above all that?" The accusation hung in the air like a guillotine. Mark tried to interject, his voice light but strained. Okay, let's keep this friendly, yeah? Jonathan, tell us about the new season." But Kelly cut him off, her eyes locked on Jonathan. "No, Mark, I think the audience wants to know. Don't you?" She turned to the crowd, raising her hands as if inviting them to join her. A few people clapped hesitantly, but most sat frozen, their phones already out, recording the unfolding drama. Jonathan's face hardened, his eyes burning with a quiet intensity. He leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly, as if weighing his next words carefully. The studio was a pressure cooker, cameras whirring, the audience teetering between shock and anticipation, the crew scrambling to keep up. No one knew what he would say next, but the weight of the moment was undeniable. This wasn't just an interview anymore. This was a reckoning. To be continued. What do you think of this moment? Was Kelly out of line, or was Jonathan too defensive? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for part 2 of this unforgettable clash. The silence in the Live with Kelly and Mark studio was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of cameras and the occasional cough from the audience. Jonathan Roumie sat motionless, his hands clasped tightly in his lap, his eyes locked on Kelly Ripa. Her accusation, veiled as a question about his past, hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. The audience, a mix of wide-eyed fans and curious onlookers, leaned forward, some clutching their phones, capturing every second of the tension. Mark Consuelos, caught in the crossfire, forced a nervous chuckle, his hands fidgeting with a pen. "Okay, let's maybe take a breath here," he said, his voice strained, but Kelly's gaze didn't waver. She leaned forward, her smile sharp as a blade, daring Jonathan to respond. Jonathan exhaled slowly, his shoulders rising and falling as if grounding himself. When he spoke, his voice was low, steady, but laced with an edge that made the room feel smaller. "Kelly, I'm not sure what stories you're referring to, but let me be clear, I don't claim to be perfect. I've never pretended to be. What I do claim is the right to be here, to do my work, and to share something meaningful without being torn down for clicks or headlines." The audience erupted in applause, a wave of support that seemed to catch Kelly off guard. Her smirk faltered, and she glanced at Mark, who gave her a subtle shake of his head, as if pleading for her to ease up. But Kelly wasn't one to back down. She tilted her head, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, come on, Jonathan. You're a public figure now. People talk. They dig. They want to know if the guy playing Jesus can really walk the talk. Like, what about that time you were spotted at?" She paused, letting the insinuation linger, her eyes glinting with provocation. "Let's just say, not exactly a church event." A collective gasp swept through the audience. A woman in the front row covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. Another fan, holding a The Chosen poster, shook her head in disbelief. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the moment, Jonathan's jaw clenching, his fingers tightening around the armrest of his chair. In the wings, a producer whispered frantically into a headset, gesturing wildly to the control booth. The air was thick with tension, the kind that could make or break a television moment. Mark tried again, his voice louder this time. Hey Kelly, maybe we stick to the show? Jonathan, tell us about the new season, man, what's coming up? But Jonathan wasn't listening to Mark. His gaze was fixed on Kelly, his expression a mix of resolve and restrained anger. He leaned forward, his voice rising just enough to command the room. You want to talk about my past? Fine. I've made mistakes. I've had struggles. I've been to places, physically and emotionally, that I'm not proud of. But that's exactly why I do what I do. The Chosen isn't about perfection. It's about redemption, about people who fall and get back up. If you want to drag up rumors to make a point, that's your choice. But don't expect me to sit here and let you twist my life into a soundbite. The studio exploded. Cheers, applause, and a few scattered boos filled the air. The audience split between those who felt Kelly had crossed a line and those hungry for more drama. A man in the back row stood, clapping vigorously, while a woman nearby wiped tears from her eyes. The cameras panned across the crowd, capturing the raw emotion, the chaos of a moment spiraling out of control. Mark raised his hands, trying to calm the crowd, but his voice was drowned out. Kelly, for the first time, looked rattled, her fingers tapping nervously on the desk. She opened her mouth to respond, but Jonathan wasn't finished. He stood slowly, deliberately, his presence towering despite his calm demeanor. The audience quieted, sensing something monumental was coming. I came here to talk about a project that's touched millions of lives, he said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. A project about hope, about second chances, about love. But instead, you've chosen to make this about tearing someone down. I don't need to defend my humanity to you, Kelly. I live it every day. And I'm not here to be your punching bag for ratings. The room fell silent again, save for the faint click of a camera shutter and the soft gasp of a producer in the wings. Kelly's face flushed, her smile gone, replaced by a mix of defiance and uncertainty. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Mark jumped in, his voice overly cheerful, desperate to salvage the moment. Wow, okay, powerful stuff. Let's give it up for Jonathan Roumie, everybody. The audience clapped, but it was a fractured response. Some cheered passionately, others sat stunned, unsure how to process what they just witnessed. Jonathan gave a curt nod, his eyes sweeping the audience, then turned and walked off the stage. His footsteps echoed in the stunned silence, the click of his shoes against the polished floor cutting through the tension. The cameras followed him until he disappeared behind the curtain, leaving the studio in a state of shock. Kelly sat frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the desk, while Mark scrambled to fill the void. Well, folks, that's live TV for you. We'll be right back after this break. As the show cut to commercial, the audience buzzed with whispers, phones lighting up as people uploaded clips to social media. Producers rushed to the control booth, their voices a frantic hum. In the wings, a security guard stood ready, unsure if the situation would escalate further. The moment was already going viral, snippets of Jonathan's speech spreading across X with hashtags like #JonathanRoumie and #KellyRipaClash. Some called it a masterclass in dignity. Others accused Kelly of chasing clout at the expense of her guest. Back in the studio, Kelly forced a smile as the cameras rolled again, but her usual sparkle was dimmed. Mark, ever the professional, steered the conversation to lighter topics, but the energy in the room felt off, like a song played in the wrong key. The audience was divided. Some admired Jonathan's stand, others felt he'd overreacted to Kelly's probing. Social media exploded with hot takes. Kelly went too far, one user posted. Jonathan needs to toughen up, this is showbiz, another countered. In the days that followed, the clash became a cultural flashpoint. Clips of Jonathan's speech racked up millions of views, sparking debates about media ethics, the pressure on public figures, and the line between tough questions and personal attacks. The Chosen saw a surge in streams, with fans rallying behind Jonathan's defense of his work and values. Kelly, meanwhile, faced a mixed response. Some praised her for keeping it real, while others called her out for crossing a line. The incident reshaped perceptions of both figures, cementing Jonathan's image as a man of principle and exposing the risks of Kelly's provocative style. What do you think? Did Jonathan handle the situation with grace, or should he have stayed and fought harder? Was Kelly's approach fair, or did she go too far for the sake of drama? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know who you think came out on top in this unforgettable showdown.